Jim Rome here. It's my home in L.A., 1150.
Enter the jungle. Jim Rome, weekdays, 9 till noon.
L.A.'s all-sports station. All sports, all the time.
Extra Sports, 1150.
Welcome back. You're listening to the best of the Jim Rome Show. My name is Travis Rogers, sitting in for Jim Rome. We will be back very, very soon with brand new live programming featuring new smack, new interviews, everything that you would expect from the jungle. Marv Albert is back on network television. NBC rehired Marv Albert to do NBA games. And, quite frankly, whatever. Marv made some mistakes. Marv paid his dues, but Marv did not find himself a new hairpiece. So that you're still going to have to look at that each weekend. And also, Albert Bell uses a corked bat. This is not news. We knew this from years and years ago. But the whole story of what happened after the bat got confiscated by the umpires, reconfiscated by his teammates, and then God only knows what happened from there. Well, Jason Grimsley finally told the tale, and he went MacGyver on the whole thing. So I'll let Jim get into that a little bit. You're listening to the best of the Jim Rome Show.
Marv Albert is going to make his first TNT studio appearance next Tuesday. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a good thing that he'll be in the studio. It's a good thing that we got a couple of days of notice first. Man, I would not like to be bumping around the TV, surfing the channels late at night, only to flip on a basketball game next Tuesday and be greeted by that freak. That is something I need to prepare myself for mentally. I think that the Humane Society also should be alerted. I don't think that Marv is going to want to show up on TV wearing that same old coonskin cap that he normally wears. Nuh-uh. This is his triumphant return to television. Dude is going to want to upgrade for his new network. Here's a shout-out to all small pets. Lock yourselves in your owner's home until Wednesday morning. I'd hate for this guy to get loose in a neighborhood near you and have him steal your daughter's hamster to make himself a new rug. Man, I can think of nothing worse than to be a family of four saying, let's watch a little basketball together. This will be nice for us. And then you all settle around the box, turn on the TV, find TNT, only to find the family cat glued to the top of that guy's dome. How horrifying would that be? Unless, of course, it was one of my cats. Man, that's no way to watch a basketball game. I know I mentioned it before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. A dead weasel is not an acceptable alternative to hair. I'd rather you buy that spray paint that they advertise late at night in infomercials. Or eat those pills that allegedly make your hair grow back. Rogaine, Propecia. Hey, look, if it makes you feel better and you think it's going to work, or you can break out shoe polish and put it on your dome for all I care. But I don't need to see roadkill on anybody's dome, let alone a network anchor's. Hey, Steve Town, this is great. How about Albert Bell and Jason Grimsley? It pretty much was a secret outside of Major League Baseball, but within baseball, it was like folklore. Everybody knew that Jason Grimsley was the guy who had exchanged Albert Bell's corked stick 5 years ago while playing against the White Sox. It was Grimsley who volunteered to crawl through the bowels of Comiskey Park to replace the one bat that was being held in the umpire's room. I mean, most of you remember the story. White Sox manager Gene Lamont had been tipped off that the bat was corked, so he challenged the bat. The bat was taken to the umpire's locker room. The Indians panicked knowing that it was corked. I mean, after all of Albert Bell's bats were corked. So Grimsley, being the man that he was, volunteered to go Mission Impossible through the ducks to go get the stick out. Grimsley had reasoned today. There's a strip club in the ATL, Atlanta, where players allegedly were engaging in acts of prostitution. It's one thing to get your lap dance. It's one thing to get free drinks. Feds don't care about that. But if guys are paying for sex, then it's an issue. It's prostitution. Basically, it's against the law. There's nothing to prevent a woman tricked out on drugs from swinging from a brass pole. She just cannot engage in sexual activities in exchange for cash. Then there's this, sex and athletics again. Leilani Rios, a 21-year-old sophomore, is a runner on the Cal State Fullerton track team. Or I should say, was a runner on the track team. She got kicked off the team after it was discovered that she was a stripper at an Anaheim strip club. This is out here in SoCal. Her coach asked her to quit her job as a prostitute, dancer, and when she refused, he kicked her off the team. And before you go to the "there is no way the school administration would stand for this" card, they backed the decision to blow her out as well. A school official explained the decision this way, quote, "Students competing in intercollegiate athletics are held to a higher standard than other students. For the privilege of being on a team, student athletes relinquish rights that other students retain." End of quote. That was their AD, John Easterbrook. Actually, John, I'm not so sure. If she's not doing anything illegal, if she's making the grade academically, if she shows up to practice and follows team rules, then she should get to stay on the team. She says she's being held to a double standard, which is true. I mean, the AD said it himself. We expect student athletes to behave on a certain level, differently than the rest of the students. She says that her stripping came to school officials' attention when a group of Fullerton ball players came to see her perform and they ratted her out. She says that they showed up at the strip club in Fullerton caps and sweatshirts, and that if she gets blown out for misrepresenting the university, they should have also. I never thought that I would say this, but I agree with the stripper. She should be allowed to degrade herself for dollar bills if that's what she wants to do. Who is the AD to tell her otherwise? And is anybody really surprised that a woman from Cal State Fullerton is working as a stripper? I mean, I think they may even have a stripping major at Cal State Fullerton. I mean, what else are you going to do with a degree from Cal State Fullerton? Either you strip or you're the call screener on this show. And nice to see that the baseball players at Fullerton are such upstanding guys. If they're not throwing rocks off the roof at their hotel, then they're going to strip clubs. I mean, where else do you expect them to be? Class? I'm sure those guys will have nice, long, distinguished careers in the fast food industry. Well, that's actually a pretty good idea, a pretty good topic, pretty good theme, pretty good issue. If an NCAA athlete wants to strip, should she be allowed to or not? The school says that she should be held to a higher standard, that she's misrepresenting the university, and it reflects badly on the athletic department. Therefore, she's off the team. Her feeling is, you've got other athletes coming to the same strip club representing with team gear. What's the difference?
You're listening to The Jim Rome Show. Fox Sports, AM 1150.
Thank you for calling Dish Network. May I help you?
Yeah, I'm calling about your $9 a month TV deal.
Yes, sir.
Jim Rome here with something brand new to pimp. Carfax. Look, people are sick, and they do sick things to their cars. For all you know, the freak who had your rig before you rolled back the odometer or totaled it and glued it back together. How do you know I didn't drop the engine from my AmeriCore into your sled? That's why there's Carfax. Just give Carfax the vehicle identification number, and they will instantly give you a vehicle history report. Don't let somebody jam you with a damaged or suspect rig. Ask your dealer for a Carfax vehicle history report or go to Carfax.com. That's CARFAX.com.
Well, we made it to the end of another edition of the Best of the Jim Rome Show. Hope you have enjoyed the program. I have enjoyed sitting in. So we'll be back with brand new live editions, more interviews, more smack, and, of course, creating more material for future Best of shows. Of course, the last segment means the huge call of the day. The huge call of the day is brought to you by the Flood Company, the can-do wood care system only from Flood, how wood should be treated. And, as always, no huge call during a Best of, so we'll move right along. Brian did a very good job in laying this show down, and he saved the best for last. Darryl Strawberry. Now, I have very mixed feelings about this guy. I guess somewhere inside of me, I feel sorry for the guy that he's had such a hellacious struggle with drug addiction and everything else. And I wish no ill will on Darryl Strawberry, but at the same time, he's so far gone and had so many chances that it's hard to muster a whole heck of a lot of sympathy for a guy that has thrown away as much as he has. But that being said, it's whatever. But when the guy just disappears from his rehab and claims that he's been kidnapped, forgive us for being a little skeptical. This is one of the worst lies I've ever heard in my entire life. You're listening to the Best of the Jim Rome Show.
All right, this just in. On the Darryl Strawberry front, we know he's missing. Now comes word. Friends of Straw say they received a phone call over the weekend from a man who said the former Yankee star had been kidnapped and is being held for $50,000 ransom. St. Petersburg, Florida police were given the information from Ronald Dock, who is a New York Yankees drug counselor. Dock says he and another Strawberry friend did not know the caller, who told them that Straw had also been pistol whipped. Police passed the information on to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. A sheriff's spokeswoman declined comment. All right, where do I start? Straw has been kidnapped, pistol whipped, and is being held at $50,000 ransom. For $50,000 ransom, but the caller was not known. All right, I'm not going to say that this isn't true, but considering the source, I'm a little skeptical. I'm not saying that Straw wasn't kidnapped and that there wasn't a ransom note. I am curious if the ransom note had a bunch of letters from magazines pasted onto a sheet of paper. You know, like all those great ransom notes in the movies. I am a little concerned about that. 50 grand. I'm not saying that Straw's life isn't worth 50 grand, but is Straw's life worth 50 grand? And again, I'm not saying that this isn't true. Now, if a finger or an ear were to show up in an envelope, that might help me believe it. How bizarre is this? Now, I'm not saying it's not true. I will say that it sounds like they're greasing the tracks for his return. You know, something along the lines of, I wasn't AWOL, I didn't run, I didn't do drugs, I was kidnapped. I didn't leave, I was kidnapped. They kidnapped me and forced cocaine into my nose, my abductors. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not true. I mean, it's totally bizarre. But I'm not saying it's not true. I am saying that it sounds like he's trying to make the point that, I didn't leave, I didn't go, I didn't run. They abducted me and they jammed cocaine into my beak. On the other hand, if in fact it's true, I wonder how it's going to end. I mean, are they going to find the kidnapper? Are they going to find the guy or guys who abducted Straw? I don't know. Maybe he was hanging out with some drug dealers who abducted him. I don't really know. Why do I have a feeling that they're not going to find the kidnapper and Straw's going to come out of this with some elaborate story that he overpowered the kidnappers and somehow escaped? I don't really know any of the details. I just know that I'm having a hard time believing it. And again, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying it's bizarre and it's wild. And it sounds like he's trying to make the argument that I just made. I didn't leave. I didn't run. I'm not AWOL. They kidnapped me and forced cocaine into my nose. I don't know. But as bizarre as Straw's life has been, this is one of the most bizarre twists ever. The clones aren't buying it. You know, I went from a half an hour ago having unbelievable sympathy for this guy saying, clones, stay off him, stay off him, stay off him, to now we have a story of him being kidnapped and being held for ransom. How bizarre is this? Dear Rome, give me back my son. Sincerely, Mr. Strawberry. Give me back my son. That is unbelievable. Give me back my son. I got a better question. Why do we still have that cut? Maybe because we knew at some point somebody famous would have their son kidnapped. Give me back my son. I can't believe we still have that in the rack. Sincerely, Mr. Strawberry. Give me back my son. Give me back my son. Look, we have a guy who is battling cancer, who is battling a drug addiction, who reportedly has been kidnapped, pistol whipped, and held for $50,000 ransom. And the first email I get after all that is one allegedly from Mr. Strawberry. The guy's battling cancer, drug addiction, and kidnapping, and all I hear from you clones is, give me back my son. Clones are great. Very sympathetic. Dear Jim, a kidnapping is totally legitimate. I can tell you from experience. Sincerely, Patty Hearst. Now, I know that's the first Patty Hearst email I've ever received. Dear Jim, how many chances do we have to give this guy? Are fame and millions of dollars not enough? What is the world coming to? Lock his ass up. Robert Downey Jr. Dear Jim, Strawberry is worth at least 50 grand. I'll pay the ransom. That's about, one inning for me. He can clean my house or something. Sincerely, Alex Rodriguez. All right, again, I'm not saying whether or not... Look, I'm not saying the guy wasn't kidnapped. I'm a little skeptical. But, I mean, the guy is battling cancer, a drug addiction. He's had suicidal tendencies. He may go to jail when he comes back. And here I have clones emailing from Alex Rodriguez offering him the chance to be his maid? Dear Mrs. Straw, I have kidnapped your husband. Here are my demands. 1, a pound of blow. 2, 3 hookers. 3, a lot of booze. Please deliver to the large cardboard box behind the rehab center if you ever want to see him again. Sincerely, the Straw Napper. P.S. I may ask you to repeat this tomorrow. 1 pound of blow, 3 hookers, and, quote, a lot of booze? The Straw Napper? Dear Jim, if you ever want to see D-Straw again, leave 10 pounds of blow behind the park bench at the corner of 3rd and Main. Sincerely, the Kidnapper. Dear Jim, ransom note. We'll get to work on it immediately. The Boulder Police. Dear Rome, since I couldn't get Russell Crowe, I'll take Straw. Sincerely, the Kidnapper. The clones are amazing. The guy could end up dead. The cancer might get him. The drug addiction might get him. The kidnapper might get him. Clones don't care. Damn it, they're going to get a Russell Crowe email in there. Dear Rome, someone tell Daryl when the cops want $50K to let you loose, it's called bail, not a ransom. Bail, not ransom. Dear Jim, no, the ransom letter was not made of cutout magazine letters. I wrote it with my left hand. Patsy Ramsey. The clones are sick. Dear Jim, I'm not too concerned yet. I'm sure he'll show up. What's the worst that can happen? Charles Lindbergh? Dear Rome, yeah, I'm surprised it took me this long to get this one. I'll help you find the real kidnappers. I'm sure they're playing golf with the real killers. Orenthal. Dear Jim, there is no way you can prove that I wrote Daryl Strawberry's ransom note. Patsy Ramsey. Dear Jim, I know they say Straw has been kidnapped, but you might want to check the basement. The Boulder Police Department. I mean, the Ramsey emails will not stop. Dear Jim, I want a hard target search of every hoe house, cat house, crack house, and dog house within a 3-mile radius. Sincerely, Inspector Gerard. That's the guy from The Fugitive also. Hey, clones, what if the guy was really kidnapped? Yeah, I know it's a reach, but what if? Dear Jim, Daryl. Sincerely, the Florida State Troopers? Clones are just disgusting. Stop! How am I supposed to have a normal conversation, a legitimate conversation about this guy? When Florida State Troopers are chanting Daryl, Brian Alvarez is playing Give Me Back My Son when I don't like... Stop, Whitey!
There you go. Straw, amazingly enough, as it turned out, was not kidnapped, just for the record. Very hard to believe, I'm sure. Anyway, Straw, I look forward to you going to the moon or getting abducted by aliens next. I'm sure that's next on your reasons why you had to go back and stick the glass dick in your mouth. Anyway, this has been the Best of the Jim Rome Show, a presentation of Premier Radio Networks.